Good evening and welcome to Serenade Your Soul. I'm Sharon Shanita. I am the creator and the host of tonight's show. Tonight we're going to be featuring Below Basement Poetry, and we'll be featuring Color Me Cookie, aka Kyla. Both of these artists are from Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where I am. And I met them at another event where they both did open mic, and they had very phenomenal words. They were very encouraging. They had great stage performance, even with their nervousness, and we had an awesome, awesome time. I look forward to continuing to watch them grow, and I look forward to growing as a writer and as a poet along with them. Again, Serenade Your Soul is based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. We are housed right now at Club Mirage, but actually we are housed right now in everyone's house since we are not able to go anywhere. So without further ado, if you have any questions, please put them in the comment box. If you, during this time, would like to register to be a feature or even register for open mic during this, please go to the website at www.serenadeyoursoul.com to register to keep things running in an orderly fashion. If you have any music selections, we can work with you on that as well. All right, so we're going to get ready to begin. Our first artist, his name is Steve, but he goes by Below Basement Poetry. Enjoy. Steve, you're up.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, thanks, Karen. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Really hope you're all staying safe and, you know, hanging in there in this really kind of crazy. Um, the first time I performed poetry, I read like a disclaimer. Um, people, um, people kind of asked me afterward whether it was like whether it's real or joke or it's actually a long poem. And anyway, I'm sorry, I got a little feedback there, but anyway, so people just were wondering what it was, and actually where I got it was from Star Wars, and at the very end of Star Wars, at the very end of the credits. And I realized that you got to be kind of like a Star Wars nerd to actually watch the movie to the very end of the credits. But it says the following. It says the events, characters, and firms depicted in this photoplay are fictitious. Any similarity to actual persons, living or dead, or to actual events or firms is purely coincidental. And so, like, when I saw that, I was thinking, so Yoda's fictitious? And then I was thinking, like, they need to have like a disclaimer because are they worried that like Luke Skywalker is going to sue them for ripping off his story? I mean, I just don't get it. So anyway, this is my disclaimer. All characters appearing in my poetry are fictitious. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, including but not limited to ex-wives, ex-lovers, people that I really dislike, that dude that lives in my building who knows my name but who's I don't know. Women who have loved me or despised me or me is purely coincidental. Any depictions of my mental state are also fictitious, including, without limitation, anxiety, depression, codependence, addiction, compulsion, envy of other poets on Instagram whose work is not that good but who have thousands more followers than I do, insecurity, love sickness, fear of a global pandemic, heartbreak, anger being blown off or ghosted or mistreated, angst, sadness, and loneliness. None of those feelings have anything to do with anything I've ever experienced or felt, at least not in the last 15 minutes or so. So any contrary opinions regarding my mental state held by any of the fictitious people that I mentioned above are their own and should not be regarded as endorsed by me. So the first poem that or actually the second, I guess, is a micro poem. A friend of mine, Nemo Sum, who some of you may know, kind of coined that term, and it's basically smaller poems that carry a little bit of a wallop. So this one is about that beginning of a relationship when you think you might be in love. So here we go. A kiss, as forever will ever be. A lot of the stuff that I write is about change because, if anything, that's kind of like been my life story. It's like things have changed so much in my life. So this one is about change as well. I open a book to a passage I've always loved and read it again and realize that I have changed and the book hasn't. So this, I try to write every day. I try to write a poem every day. And in the last several months, like a lot of the poems that I've written have been about this COVID crisis. And, it's probably the thing that I think about the most and wonder whether it's going to end and when it's going to end. And so this is one of several that I'm going to read tonight related to that. Sometimes I forget that each moment is a gift, that even a breath is a wonder, that I am warm and alive with food and drink and music, that I have friends and people who love me and people I truly love, who I cannot touch, but who touch me every moment. Sometimes I forget to be grateful. I'm a photographer as well, and this poem is about putting things in perspective. The light hits the garden perfectly, and I rush into the house to get the camera out of batteries. Hit the spare one and run out, but then I forget the tripod and then have to go back in again. And once I'm finally outside, the light is no longer right, and I get angry and frustrated. And I think I should have just enjoyed the damn moment instead of messing around trying to capture it for forever. Meanwhile, the ultraviolet rays emanating from the sun, which are the source of light, flowers, and color, and any possibility of photography, continue on their course, indifferent to forever, and appearing to care even less about my feelings. Another one, while I've been staying at home. Spring nights in the city, playing with the senses, especially smell, grass and oil, rubber and rain, garbage and expensive perfume. I sense possibility and hope, even if they are only just a little bit ahead. So the next poem I wrote in a bar. I was crushing on the female bartender, which I'm sure never happens, right? Lonely man goes into a bar by himself and crushes on the beautiful female bartender. I'm sure that never happens. But anyway, I wrote this in the hope that she would read it and fall madly in love with me, which, of course, didn't happen. If the world stopped turning in this moment, if around its axis there was no revolve, would we stay or would some of us fall off? I think only the ones who are together with another, locked safe, grounded, would remain. I reach for you in this moment, so we survive. Being a single man, you have a lot of conversations with people that you're interested in, and you never really know kind of like whether they're interested in you or not or whatever. And so I wrote this poem about that. With great care, I unpack our conversation, working hard to detect your interest amidst the lost nuances and mixed signals, to discern whether you feel as I do. I decide the truth of it is in your eyes as you look at me. So sometimes when before all this happened, I used to like take my stuff and write in other places, and sometimes I would write in Starbucks, which feels like a long time ago now. But I wrote this while I was sitting at Starbucks. I sit at Starbucks trying to decide what font to use, picking one and then not liking it, and then another and another and another, taking perhaps an hour and a half before deciding that I like the default font. People watch me intensely pecking at my keyboard and think I must be highly productive. Sometimes when I am walking, and I try to take a walk every day, something occurs to me that feels like it's something, it's like something that I should write about. And so this is a poem like that, and something that came to me on a sunny day while I was taking a walk. The best evidence I can muster for hope's divine existence is in Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, when the human voice, silenced and forgotten through most of the piece, emerges from the depths of chaos, powerful, clear, and most certainly alive. The following poem I wrote based on a story that I heard about a song that I like called Black Hole Sun, which was written by Chris Cornell. And apparently when he got the idea for the song while he was driving in his car, and he heard something on the radio, which he thought was the announcer saying Black Hole Sun, but he misheard what the announcer said, or what the newscaster said, and who said something very different. But he took Black Hole Sun and he created this whole piece out of it, which doesn't necessarily have a story or make sense, but conveys a mood and a feeling and emotion. So this is a poem that I wrote, imagining mishearing Black Hole Sun. Black rose blossoming, seeming colors, only fraudulent windows into lost and forgotten souls. The night chill ignores the winter blue and creates a world I finally see clearly. My mother died about, I gotta say, it's been more than 10 years ago. And I never would have written anything about it, probably up until now. But this is based on that, on my mother's death. I notice the nothing in your eyes and smell a sad song. I have no voice, but my eyes shout. And in my teardrop, a blinded world fades into mist. The next poem is about hanging on, which I think is appropriate. Yeah, I wrote it before this whole COVID thing, but I think it's kind of an appropriate thing for us to all kind of remember to do. Excuse me. The hot summer sun is death to flowers, their petals strewn on the ground in a pattern that appears random, but probably isn't. A few deformed blossoms hold on, hoping for a little water, a slight drizzle, something. They fatally cling to life, as I inevitably will, not ever, ever willing to give up. I walk past to get the mail and barely notice the misery just beyond my front door. I live in South End, and I'm able to see lots of different things from my windows, including birds. I mean, this is about that. The first bird dove hard from the roof, its wings accelerating its descent with power and purpose. The second bird took a moment, and then, once it made up its mind, fluttered gracefully and carefully down. I look at the empty roof and wonder which I would be. Excuse me again. I'm sure everybody knows what dust is. Dust is actually primarily composed of human skin, right? So I heard that relatively late in life, and I wrote this poem about it. I blink the dust from my eye and wonder if it was you who left it behind. I'm an artist as well, and the dominant theme of my visual art is the environment, nature, flowers, most primarily. And I'm very passionate about the environment, and this poem is about that. And it's called For Those to Come. I imagine my progeny in the distant future, huddled in their artificial climate-controlled environments, marveling at my flower photographs passed down from generation to generation, the data of the ancestors creating a form of sorry ritual in a time when things and data have lost their distinctive qualities. I imagine them wondering what it must have been like to live in a world where flowers actually existed. On their own, where you could touch or climb a tree or walk on a trail or swim in a lake or lay in the grass and look up at the sun. I imagine some of them will think me a fraud, believing that in their hearts this beauty could never have existed. Others will wonder how it is possible for anyone who sees such things to have allowed them to vanish. Still others will be angry, certain that I in my time could have done something but didn't. But those in whom my DNA is least diluted, who will see, feel, and think roughly as I was predisposed to do, will make no judgments about me, one way or the other, and instead will carry inside them a sad, cold acceptance of what is and what might have been, a desire to change what they realistically can, and a hope that they will not make an even greater hash of things for those to come. I wrote this next one about someone that I broke up with that I guess I had some lingering feelings about. You take up residence in a part of my mind over which I have no say, and you live there quite happily, indifferent to my frustrated attempts to evict you. I'm up a lot at night, maybe a function of age, maybe a function of bad drinking habits. But in any event, so this is about being up. Familiar naked night, rounding the corner into day, gray, fickle sleep eludes my silenced mind, choosing a different lover as she often does. I lie alone, remembering when she was with me. One kind of cool thing about being a writer and a poet is you can skewer people with your poetry, and this is my attempt to do that. Interestingly, when I posted this on Instagram, people thought it was, I got a couple comments where people thought it was beautiful, and I was like, actually kind of nasty. Sometimes I think of you, but it is not really you. It is a woman I've created in my head. She does, however, have your soft, bright eyes. She just doesn't have sharp claws or carry the same bite. The next poem uses a word that I don't, it's actually a feminine term. It's called core, and it means body to body. And it's a war poem about serenity, or a serenity period poem about war. A sharp blade of grass, core with another, and another, and another still. The wind meanders and stirs the green combatants in the field below the clouds. No wounds inflicted, no shadow or pain, no casualties or mourning, a breath without loss or victory. This is another poem about failed relationship, of which I guess I've I loved you without really knowing you. Came later, unfortunately. But on the lighter side of relationships, a lot of people think relationships are like a bell curve, right? It goes up and then it goes down. But for me, it always goes up and then goes below zero. But in any event, this is when it's going up. Sometimes in winter, when I was a boy, I would wake up after a snowfall, and the city would be clean and fresh and white and beautiful. You remind me of those mornings. Again, another one about staying at home. There will come a day when I can console a friend by putting my hand on his shoulder, when I can walk to a brewery or a restaurant and have a drink or a meal, when I can take a class or work out or pathetically try for the umpteenth time to do yoga, when I can play tennis and go out with friends, when I can hear music and directly watch someone's hands on the guitar strings, when I can kiss a woman that I've only just met. There will come a day, but it won't be today. This is another from one of my walks. Across the street, I see your several failed attempts to parallel park and become enamored with your long brown hair swaying from side to side as you execute turn after turn, the air from your open window amplifying its complex trajectory. You finally get the car in position. Sad and even more alone, I move along. Sometimes when I'm reading poetry on the internet, I feel like poets, a lot of poets feel like they're victims, there's victim poetry, right? Where basically it's like, oh, I loved you, you didn't love me, blah blah blah, all that kind of, and I write about that stuff too. I'm not criticizing it, but I'm saying it's pretty popular to write about how other people do bad things. I don't see that much poetry about how the poets did bad things. But this poem that I'm going to read is about me doing a bad thing, which I think is important to write about because, maybe it prevents you from doing bad things in the future. So here we go. Sloppy logic and those legs of yours, shaped by your skinny jeans, pull me to you. Remembering a loss too painful to remember, I seek forgetting in you. Unaware that I am not seeing you, just looking away, you smile and feel the fullness of my attention. Your cheeks are red as you hug a man who is not even there. The following poem is one that uses a word that I almost never use. I never use it other than poem, and it's the word. The word is tyro, and so that word has a very powerful meaning to me because when I was a writer a long time ago, I was writing lots of stories and stuff, and I submitted a work to a publisher, and the work came back with a bunch of really really harsh comments. And I remember the beginning of the editor's handwritten comments, which were, since you are obviously a tyro, blah blah blah. And it's so embarrassing and humiliating for me that I put all my writing aside, and so even that, I look up at the word, which was basically tyro is a beginner. But I ended up going into painting and doing other things, and I picked it up again. But anyway, so this is called Meditations on My Attempts to Draw a Perfect Circle, Part 1. My Tyro artist sketchbook contains many circles, hundreds, maybe thousands, each one slightly different and imperfect in its own way. I approached each one with enthusiasm and hope, knowing what I did wrong and knowing how to fix it. And sometimes I did, but something else was wrong, and sometimes I did it a bit better. Someone asked me why I didn't just use a computer, and I said I would rather make my own imperfect circle than live with someone or something else's perfect one. This is the kind of stuff when I'm awake in the morning drinking my coffee and I think about, which probably is problematic. Am I real? I ask myself. And and get immediately lost in the complexity of the question, not realizing I am answering it as a result. The next poem is for John Coltrane. I was like putting together a playlist of like jazz greats, and John Coltrane is one of my favorites. And that kind of led me to like do all kinds of research on him and to watch. There is at least one video of him performing, and what a phenomenal, just a phenomenal talent. And so anyway, this is for John Coltrane. In every photo of him, I see his eyes intense, ready, brilliant, scary. I watch him on the saxophone, his total concentration, the soft, clear notes, so strong yet delicate and beautiful. He is one with his love. There is no place where the sax ends and he begins. I watch in awe, convinced that music is the surest path to the divine. This is another one about staying at home during this crisis. In the space between the buildings, I see its wings floating graceful, moving, soaring beyond. I dream of birds and clouds and cliffs by the sea, when I too was free. This one was another relationship. I was so afraid of your disapproval that I became someone else. And that someone else is a person of whom I do not approve. So as I said, I'm an artist, and this one is about color. Once the canvas is ready, I always start with a blank palette. I think of a dominant color, then find its complement, then experiment with related colors and different combinations. Sometimes I add a little bit more of this and a little bit more of that, the way my grandmother would add spices to the lamb. I inherited my father's ability to see even very slight differences in color, so I find it strange and confusing when people put labels on colors. I see no reason to pick one point in an infinite continuum over another and label it, categorize it, define it, and sweep other colors in with it. Still, people persist in using labels like black, white, yellow, brown, red, mixed, as if an infinite number of variations did not exist, as if each one of us were not our own unique color. This one is about spring, this year. The scent of the lilacs, the songs of the birds, that feeling of a warm morning as you inhale the air. Spring arrives unconcerned and unaffected without any social distance. Okay, well, that's the last one. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll turn it back over.
And where can they find you, Steve?
Oh, they can find me on Below Basement Poetry on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Steve, from Below Basement Poetry. You can follow him again on IG at Below Basement Poetry. I had a little synopsis for Steve that I forgot to read, that his poetry is so deep that you would have to go in the basement in order for him to pull you up to understand. Our next feature today is going to be Kyla, Color Me Cookie. We're going to take just a very, very quick 30-second break so we can switch screens, and we'll be right back.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kyla. Some of you might know me as Cookie, but first and foremost, before I start, I want to just thank Serenade Your Soul for allowing me to come on this platform today. It is a huge honor for me. So tonight, like I said, some of you might know me as Kyla and some of you might know me as Cookie. But I wanted to take you guys on a journey with me, which was why I referred to myself as Kyla Alexis today, so that you guys could go a little bit deeper with me, and hopefully me sharing some of these stories or things that I've been through will encourage you in any way possible. So I figured, why not start on a high note? Have you ever been in a place in your life where everything was perfect? Like, you could not be any happier. This was what you wanted. This is what you had been praying for, waiting for. This was the moment you needed to indulge in. For one night, the bright city lights zoom in and out of the stars spiraling around my head, creating a haze that clears the way, drunk with the wine that God pours straight into my mouth. I can barely swallow it all because the laughter is erupting from inside. Attempting to capture the overflow that trickles across my lips, I clasp tightly. But that doesn't help because it gushes out my nose. Senselessly overwhelmed by my senses so present, I can see it. The parallel universe. It's been here all along. We've been blind to it. When our problems were all we could see, we lost sight of it. I can hear it in the way our laughs harmonize, bellowing from our diaphragms. I ask you to hold my hand so you can feel it too. The way your electrons collide with my protons, canceling out all others. We are one, more like none. No charges, yet clearly electrifying, creating a power line, allowing us to finally see eye to eye. I can taste the words rolling off my tongue, bursting into millions of vibrantly colored butterflies that illuminate and elegantly waltz with the fireflies that illuminate. In this moment, I am made aware that heaven is closer than I thought. It's here. It is now. For one night, I leap from behind the security of my castle walls. For one night, I can fly without searching for a safety net. For one night, I've regrown the wings that I self-clipped. No longer confined, I tap into my full wingspan and allow him to be the wind beneath them. I soar. For one night, what I had accepted as only dreams has manifested into reality, so I no longer want to sleep. For one night, I want you to gaze into my eyes, experiencing the depths of my soul, combining life, laughter, and love. For one night, I'm not afraid to speak. For one night, I no longer have to seek for what's in front of me. This is life. This is what we were intended to experience. But that's just for one night. And now the dawn has come. So I'm back on track for the rest of my life, left with the memories of emotions I imagine I'll only encounter again if God blesses me with deja vu. So that piece was entitled For One Night, as you could probably tell. And I think that sometimes when we get in those high places, we tend to get knocked off of our high horse. And sometimes when we're knocked off, we go really, really low. And I think we're taught so many times to just brush it off and that we'll be fine. It's not that serious. Everything will work out. But sometimes it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to admit that you're hurt. And I just wanted to encourage you to admit it when you're hurt, even if it's just to yourself, because the more you brush that off, the more you prolong your healing process, and the more you prolong your happiness ultimately. I am hurt, but they don't need to know that. See, nobody cares about a clown's tears, so I let them flow. As long as I make them laugh, do they even see anything else? I guess not. Because I make the laughter erupt from their core, closing their eyes to encompass what I make them feel. Ignorant to what I feel. When I even allow myself to feel, can't endure what I feel. I just want to die. I'm tired, drained, consumed by the pain. Toys don't have emotions, though. They look good and move wherever you place them. The perfect porcelain mate who doesn't challenge you, so you never feel inadequate. I'm just an item placed on a shelf for safekeeping, weeping till I wheeze. This toy has a story, but if nobody's around to see me cry, did the tears even flow? As far as they know, I'm good. Never been happier. This permanent smile painted on my face keeps them comfortable. Created in chaos, the cookie crumbles, but who cares? Because they'll still consume it just the same. No, I care. Even if nobody else does, I do. I know I haven't, but that's in the past. That's past. I never thought I was worthy of grass, so I stuck with the dead weeds and wildflowers that I colored so beautiful. But it's time to cut it. The dead weight, people, feelings, hurt, hair. I'm supposed to be youthful, but these heartbreaks have aged me beyond my years. Fears are the only things that keep me timid. Souls tie, souls cry. I pulled. The palms on Palm Sunday wrapped in my palms until linear, but they never knew. They didn't know about the pills. Exercise the reps so much it became a skill. I am drained. But that doesn't matter because I'm trained to live each day, no, to survive each day. I've spent more time surviving than living. I know no other way but to be a nimble tree, swaying in the destructive winds, but firmly rooted in his words, which is the only reason why my back hasn't broken from the weight of the world. I curl dead weights. Things that would kill some, I lift with no complaint because that's what I'm used to. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't rip my very muscles apart. And even if it didn't, I wouldn't stop lifting because clearly I can bear it. But only with his help. Because in my most detrimental state, God spots me and spots me. Which is the only reason why I'm still standing. Because as often as I can, I lean out into my own understanding. So while I am hurt, thank you for allowing me to know that I am not okay. I relinquished my control. God, you're the only one who can call the right place. So that piece is called I Am Hurt. Clearly I was hurt when I wrote it, but it's okay to be hurt. And I think that sometimes when we get in those low places, we tend to either do one extreme, or me personally, I do one extreme or the other. I either blame everything on everybody else or put it all on myself. And I think it's important to look at things for what they really are. And when you are assessing what's going on in your life, make sure that you are aware of what you're allowing to go on around you, who you're allowing in your life, and how you're allowing them to treat you. Because sometimes when we're in those moments, we let our insecurities take over and we allow anything to fly. I really didn't want to write this. I thought you were Mr. Right. Turns out you're Mr. Right. Reading is fundamental. I thought being connected to you was fun. Turns out it just turned me mental. Sentimental, waiting on the sweet, sentimental moments. Ignorance is bliss. Which leads me to believe that there's no way that insanity should be this painful. And it's not. See, I'm not insane. I know the truth, but I'm splitting, attempting to make the clarity vague. My spirit animal is a bull. I ran headfirst into the red flags when my spirit told me not to. Labeled them tests on my patience, paying my sense only to become immune to the scent of your bullshit. You know, For someone with such a way with words, you're illiterate when it comes to loving me. We can't share the same vision if you refuse to look through the lens. Can't slow dance if you won't ask for my hand. Each encounter leaves me perplexed, like, how is it that you find it so easy to make love to me? But when it comes to making the love it takes to commune with me, you suddenly don't possess the ingredients. Maybe that's because you only intended to break bread with my body. None of us are perfect. And everybody's gonna hurt us at some point or another, but you don't get to tell me who I think is worth suffering for. The same way I can't tell you who's sufficient for the ring. See, we all suffer in different ways. But how many times? Every time Mr. Right writes to me, I long to read the decree as though he's handing me the deed to his heart. But it's not. It's just another postcard from more miles away stating a new way to say no. I never knew no possessed so many synonyms like the synonym challenge. How much will my spirit allow to be fed to me until it coats my tears, coats my mouth until I choke to death on your sweet, sweet lies because I refuse to spit that shit out? What do I win when your words, rejections, and soul ties all coiled and knotted, forming a noose? Clearly, I willingly put it around my neck. You know, I was so sure you took my breath away. Or are you just strangling me? Because it seems like the more we get to know each other, the more estranged we become. So I ask you again, what exactly is it that I win? Is it death? Because when my heart ceases to beat, when there's no more warm blood running through me, when I can't find the words to speak, when my prescription changes and I can no longer glance through my old glasses without getting a migraine, when I forget how to slow dance, when I finally stop checking the mail, is that when you'll see me? When you'll drop the dub you think you've been holding on to by loving me improperly, is that when you'll become Mr. Right? Or maybe this foreshadowing is the hindsight you need. Or maybe it's just for me to see that it's not necessary for us both to choose. You see, one of us has to choose me. And not just poetically, I mean daily. Even when you have to sit and think because you can't stand me. See, I know you're not mine, but I can't read your mind. And honestly, I'm so tired of trying to. Because I show you my love every day, every hour, every minute, every second. But you won't even hand me a clue. So that piece was called Not Mr. Right. As you can tell, it's about what you really allow to be around you and what you allow yourself to go through. So in going through those times, I started to question love. And I started to ask myself if I would even ever experience love. If I would ever be in love. Sometimes you can get to a place where you just feel like it's never going to happen for you. And so I decided to write to love because, clearly we weren't seeing eye to eye and they weren't understanding what I was going through. So this is to love. Dear love, this letter has been a long time coming. You've probably heard the things I've said about you. How could I have so much to say about someone I've never met? I used to want you so bad. You are the best thing I never had, a thief in the night, cat burglar, scaling the walls I built around my heart, attempting to take my breath away, only carelessly smashing my most prized possession. I long to lock you away. Rooming with the pulsating porcelain pounding on my rib cage, but I could never quite capture you. Setting booby traps because I needed proof of your existence. Only catching imposters, lust, obsession, compassion, infatuation, endless encounters with everyone but you. You cruelly watch from afar as they brand these scars on my heart. Have you ever loved somebody so much it made you cry? Yeah, me either. I imagine I came close one time, but we all know almost doesn't count, and that boy damn sure wasn't mine. That wasn't you. I know your family. Cousin Lush dropped by for a while and we reminisced, recalling when we were such close friends. But as enticing as our friendship was, I knew it had to come to an end because it was you that I really wanted to befriend. They told me all about you. They shared the folk tales that you left behind, sending me the lullabies that you sung to them. I can't help but be aware that maybe all I'll ever know of you are the tales you pass on to others. Rumor has it, when I stop looking for you is when you'll appear. But I can't speak confidently on someone I never met, so love, I hope to meet you someday. Maybe then you can ask me for my hand. We can slow dance to the beat of our hearts, keeping rhythm with only each other. You can break my heart out of its captivity. Teach my heart the tunes that will lull me peacefully to sleep. Or maybe we can sit in the car until 5 a.m. planning our lives, only to wake up the next day ready to live our plans hand in hand. I'd happily walk the beaches of limbo if it meant that you and I could watch the sun rise, if it meant that I could actually cry again. Then, and only then, would I be able to breathe. Exhaling the crisp aftertaste of your promise. I mean, I imagine that's how our story would go, love. But I can't speak so confidently on someone I never met. Forever yours, but wait. Yeah, your heart's been punctured. It's been used as a crash dummy just long enough to produce success for others, beaten, battered, bruised, but not hardened. Kyla, you say you hate love, but don't you recognize it's love that healed you? Jesus is love. Didn't you say you want to be more like him? So in fact, you want to be more like what you hate the most? See, that makes no sense. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son. You say you've never met love, but you were birthed through love, born again through love, forgiven through love. The Holy Spirit has comforted you through love. So stop. Stop for a second. Think about it. Your heart may have been broken, but it's mended. And that is the only reason it continues to beat. Love healed you. So it pumps through your veins, and it's love that you breathe. Understand that its healing powers are in you. So when you inhale the negativity, hurt, pain, and rejection, it's love that allows you to exhale positivity, comfort, joy, and acceptance. The Jesus in you loves the Jesus in me. The Jesus in me loves the Jesus in you. We are the ones who make it hard. It's so easy to love. Just breathe. So, my last and final piece of the night that I have for you guys, I really wanted to bring it back around, because sometimes we get in those moments where we don't believe in ourselves, don't believe anything's good is coming from what we're going through. Sometimes, well, for those who know me, they know that I can be very sensitive. I am a very sensitive being, very in tune with my emotions, I'll put it that way. And so sometimes when you are very sensitive, you can tend to be labeled as weak. And another word that was used to label my sensitivity was fragile. And when that was told to me, I really took a second and I had to step back and think about it. Because how fragile and how weak are the things that we label fragile? I am fragile. as the beautiful ballerina who is bruised and blistered by the blocks in her slippers, while still delicately prancing, delivering intricate leaps, defying gravity with no indication of the constant pain she feels. I am fragile, like the branch on the tree that bends in the whistling winds of the most severe storm, but refuses to break. That tree that changes with each season, adapting, producing leaves to provide the cooling shade for you in the summer, allowing those leaves to wither away when summer leaves, making way for the heavy blanket of snow that coats the branch that rocks the cradle. I am fragile. Fragile as the baby whose grip you can't seem to pry from your finger. When I saw them leaving and I couldn't quite bring myself to let go, even as I felt them attempting to rip away from my grasp, you broke free, yet here I am, with the hold you left on my life. The infant who infinitely speaks the foreign tongue you claim to not understand, when you yourself used to speak it fluently. I am fragile. Makes sense why my cries fell on deaf ears, why he did not comprehend my language of fragility through my hushed whimpers. As the murmurs merged into the deafening silence, looming over the frigid child that burned my back. When he pinned me under the weight of his inadequacies, venturing his ship into my chamber of secrets in attempts to plunder my box of treasures. He almost stole my soul. Understand that I am the box clearly labeled, this side up, fragile. The one you dropped down the steps. And the contents in me still manage to remain intact despite the fact that you refuse to handle me with care. I'm fragile, like the bone in my wrist that snapped in 6th grade, just trying to catch myself from falling. And just like that fractured bone, my fragile heart healed itself. I am fragile, like the collection of Christmas ornaments stashed away all year until you need a glimmer of hope. Holding myself up for your comfort, displaying your memories, and never reaching the capacity to where I can't hold just one more. So am I really fragile? Or is it just easier to label my sensitivity as weak, when in all reality, how fragile can a survivor really be? Little girl, listen to me. It does not matter when they speak subjectively, because no matter how fragile you may or may not be, it's through his strength that you are no longer weak. So continue to press. You'll one day beautifully bloom through the crack you created in the concrete. Don't even warn them of the thorns. Just hold your head high and taste how sweet they bleed when they underestimated the strength in your insecurities. Thank you again. If you got anything from anything that I said tonight, I hope you know that it is okay to not be okay, especially in these trying times. And don't run from that feeling. Address it, because that only adds to your strength in the long run. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you. Thank you, Kyla Cookie. That was awesome as usual. Before we go start the open mic, I want to again thank Below Basement Poetry, aka Steve, and Color Me Cookie, aka Miss Kyla, for featuring tonight. It has been an adventure, learning about them, researching them, and it feels good to be able to put the correct people in the correct place at the right time. It's just something that we're striving for here at Serenade Your Soul. We're just bringing people together with a common interest to be able to express themselves in a very safe place. This is for everyone. With that, I am not a poet per se. I love the art of poetry. I love the wordplay. I love the transparency in the artist. I love their honesty, their testimony. Reading poetry and watching shows and journaling It's what made me transition my writing from just venting on a page and complaining or whatever to trying to make sense of what I was going through. You know how you walk around and you think of scenarios or you think of what you're going through, and just a little quick quote that you just made up just comes in your head. And what I've done is put some of those quotes together, and this is not finished, but this is the first piece that I'm willing to share. Um, as we continue with Serenade Your Soul, me as the host, Sharon Shanita, you would get to know me and you would get to know my journey. Um, I'm not going to cut it. I'm not going to filter it. I'm not going to lie to you. There's only truth in these words and on these pages that me and the other poets write. So, again, I'm still learning. Um, this poem does not have a title. Um, as with me, all of my writings are a work in progress. So, this is what I got. It took a while for the pen to flow with my thoughts. When it connect is fluid, like the tears I used to shed. Knowing a time when I was lost and afraid to gauge anything beyond the present. See, I was in a situation that kept me wishing that the life that I was living would end the misery within. Fear can and will sting you still quicker than peace until you determine what it will take for you to understand you or me to understand me. What does it mean to be free? Enslaved by a narcissistic personality demanding an undeserved higher level of power above me. His well was running dry, so his only option was to make me cry. Living in his past, enduring his own misery from being deprived of what his father and brother had, but he couldn't provide. Loving wives could not replace the abandoned, reincarnated anger that drove his need to manipulate all situations so he could get a rise. Temporary satisfaction was enough distraction to condone physical malpractice, like taking it just because I was his wife. After so many times, I found myself lying in the basement, looking to the ceiling, wishing it was the sky. Can't see past the beams, wondering why he feels the only option is to make me cry. Thinking back on all the things I hid from everyone, I grabbed that bottle of pills, wondering, will they miss me when I die? After all, I did lie. I said everything was fine. I didn't put a period at the end of that because I'm not finished, but that's what I started with. So each session, my goal is to either speak something new and just basically just complete some of the writings that I've started in order for me to continue to grow as a person and as a writer and as the woman that I am and be good with that. So with that, if you have any suggestions or comments or concerns, you can always, send us a message if you want to perform, if you want to, perform for open mic, if you want to help serenade yourself in any type of way. Again, we're located in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's the west side of Charlotte. We are trying to bring that community together in a positive way. There are a lot of youth in that area that have been reaching out, and there's no one there to listen. So Club Mirage is a landmark on the west side of Charlotte. People have so many memories. When I started Serenade Your Soul, a lot of folks didn't know it was still open, and they were excited that something like Serenade Your Soul, which is very inclusive, which is very peaceful, which is very come as you are, was created. So there is no competition. There is no what will people think, what will people say, will they laugh at me. Serenade Your Soul, as you know, is not a competition. It's a journey that we all go through, life. So there are a lot of people out here that don't have people to talk to, like me per se. That's why people start writing. When you get comfortable with your writing, from my perspective, that's when you want to share so that you can inspire someone else that may be going through a similar situation And you never know. You may be talking in front of the right person that can either help you in your situation, or you might just save somebody's life. I've watched that um, unfold right in front of my eyes. So I know how important it is to share your words and to be honest. And so I hope that everyone takes heed on that you're not alone in any situation. Um, and I don't want to be, Greer or dreary like that, but there are a lot of people at home alone right now. And I'm hoping that someone that is watching will feel the need to reach out and let them know that someone is thinking about them. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and open up the mic. And our first open mic, let me check and make sure that he's ready, is Unapologetic Poet. Unapologetic Poet. Are you in here? Let's see. He may be in the chat. And while we're waiting on him, we can go ahead and start with if a poet named Superman is ready. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Thank you. So just give us a moment.
We are?
Just 1 second. We'll get this arranged. Okay. Thank you. And there we are. Okay, we're going to introduce you again. Again, sorry for that. A little glitch happened. A little delay. Again, welcome to the open mic for tonight. Our first open mic artist is a poet named Superman. Thank you again for joining us. It's your mic.
No problem. No problem. Just let me know when you're ready.
We are ready. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. All right. As she stated, my name is a poet named Superman. Yes, you have to say the whole thing. Like a Tribe Called Quest to a pimp named Slickback. A poet named Superman. I'm gonna do just one piece. Apparently, I will be featuring here at Serenade Your Soul May 15th. So shout out to them for the opportunity. So I'm gonna just give you something short. Shout out to the features as well. Steven, Cookie, y'all killed it. So I'm gonna just do this poem and get out your way. I'm at a loss for words, as if a robber was holding a gun to my tongue, screaming, "Give me all your nouns and verbs, give me your thoughts. Give me your ideas, give me your persistence. Give me your resistance, give me your existence, give me your world." He says, you have two options. Either I can have your words or I'll elongate the pain in your soul stay. Either way, I say I'm so unsure of what to say. My eyes bleed tears, my soul cries blood, a flash flood of emotions has demolished my sanctuary, my home. A force that I'm unable to stop has twisted my cerebellum inside out. The little monkey has stopped beating its symptoms together. The little hamster has jumped out its running wheel to the truth. I am so unsure of what to do. self-applied pressure enough to burst a hot air balloon is now running through both of our veins. Only I injected you thinking that it was the right prescription. Wrong. How long can this last? Your past isn't as fast as me, baby. Shit, a realization hit me harder than ninth grade geometry, which I don't know about y'all, it was hard for me. Epiphany. It's not up to me. It's you that have to decide if the L, the O, the V, and yes, even the E is something that you want or need. Because now I'm becoming uncertain if I am the person that we were supposed to be. Thank y'all so much, man. Like I said, my name is a poet named Superman. Follow me on Instagram. I actually host the open mic on Instagram every Wednesday, 8 o'clock on IG Live. Shout out to the Super Friends, Gang Squad. But follow me on Instagram, a poet named Superman, all spelled correctly, all one word. Got a lot of stuff coming. So thank y'all so much. And thanks again to Serenade Your Soul for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm out of here. No problem.
Thank you again, a poet named Superman. And again, thank you again for our features tonight, Miss Color Me Cookie and Below Basement Poetry. Look forward to hearing more from both of you guys. We are opening the mic again. Let's see. Unapologetic Poet is next. But I don't see him logged in to the Zoom. So we'll give him just a moment. Is Tiara Jordan available? We need her to sign in as well, and we need KO to sign in. So let's see. We're going to take like a 30-second break so I can check and see where they are, make sure they're linked properly. We will be back in just about 30 seconds. Hold just a moment, please.
Hopefully you're not tired of hearing me talk again. But just to help out, I realized that I may have been tearing, people down, or it might have been like very emotional during my portion. So I do have a piece that is dedicated to men. And just to tell them that it's okay for them to have emotions as well. Women are not the only ones who are allowed to be hurt about anything. And actually, this piece is called Kobe Year because this year I actually turned 24. And also, it came from seeing all the openly hurt men that were affected by tragedy that happened with Kobe Bryant and everybody else that was on the helicopter. So this is what came of that. What's worse than a broken heart? A beating heart of gold that's been bruised purple. How little we think of a man's tears. I wouldn't wipe your tears. I would collect them ever so carefully, calculating how to capture them so I can carry them without concern of contamination. My king, it's okay to cry. Allow your eyes to bleed. I wouldn't wipe your tears. I let the streams flow into the ground and watch the nutrients of your past pains cause instant germination. And if for some reason a single tear had a fast break and escaped my rescue mission, cascading from the perfect portrait of your face, I'd cradle that drop, pleading with it to use its own drive to resist permeating my hands. I'd let it sway and lay as I gifted it back up to God, praying He'd permit to me the privilege of watching how He used your tear to polish the production He painted of your life. This life is more than just a game. I can't quantify your pain, how quickly the seconds transform to years. Will the time ever be enough? Because I promise, if I had one wish, I would pray for infinite years and one day. But something so right has got no chance to live, so I need you to love me currently. Although my legacy is indeed a part of me, it's only what's left of me. And if one day dementia was desperately determined to deform my mind, I'd fight till my last breath. Jump over the edge of forever if it gave me just one more shot that my memories of you wouldn't fade away. How loud is your silent cry upon my ears? With me, your wailing would never fall on deaf ears, because just your whimpers resound. They rebound off the walls meant to keep your emotions captive. Traveling, sending vibrations that quake in my core, I would carry your burdens without hesitation if it meant that my assist would grant you the seasoned serenity you earned by sacrificing your sadness for my sake. I pray every day for you to be free. I'd take a bullet if it could just scream through all of the foul shots aimed at your back. How minimal we treat a man's fears. How minimal we treat a man's fears. I defend each offense that rose up against you because you remained my stem as I blossomed. Even when I was but the thorns ripping through your sides, you continuously pounded through the concrete just to make way for me. For 24 years, I ate lies that left me malnourished. For that many more years, you consumed the same that left you discouraged, so cry, baby. It's okay to cry. How little we think of a man's tears. How minimal we treat a man's fears. How quickly the seconds transform to years. How loud is your silent cry upon my ears. I hear you. I feel you. Shooters shoot. I'll continue to let the doves fly. And as they release from my grip, never again will I forget to whisper, Kobe. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. We were able to get everyone in the room. We are going to switch over, thank you again, Cookie, to Unapologetic Poet. Hey. Hold on just a moment. There we go. I'm trying to unmute you just a moment. It's not allowing me to unmute. Sorry, having some technical difficulty. Make sure you're not muted yourself. Are you muted on your end? One moment, guys. Appreciate it. Ah, there we go. Thank you.
You know, this
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
That could have been the user error.
Hey, if we was on another platform, we would have to restart about what, 3, 4 times. So,
I know. Can you all see me though?
and yes, we can see you.
All right, that's cool. Because I'm looking at just your logo right now, but that's fine. How's
It's,
everyone doing?
there's a little delay. There's
Okay.
there you go. There's just a little 10, 15-second delay. So you have the mic. Thank you.
All right. I knew you were the one before I knew you were the one. How did I know? Because I was searching for you my entire life. I thought I lost you and you weren't even mine. So when I found you, I wasn't trying to lose you. I wasted time in the beginning trying to figure things out, but what was there to figure out? You thrill me, arouse me. You stimulate and annoy me, and I like it all. I need you, desire you, want you to be by my side. Not because I can't live without you, but because, well, I've tried. I took a chance on you and me, and now it's sweet. I want to love you. No, strike that. I'm going to love you. Love you like you've never been loved before. I'm going to love you in such a way that you feel me deep inside of you, even when I'm nowhere around. I want to inhale the scent of your aura, hold you in my arms as you spasm in ecstasy. I want to touch those places that you didn't know were there, leaving you to wonder, shit, what just happened? You intoxicate me, I'm drunk. I'm over my limit and my cup runs over, but I want more. Every time we come together, we'll be the first time, and then we'll do it again, and again, and again, just like the song. Let's do it in the morning, sweet breeze in the summertime, feeling your sweet face, all laid up next to my. Wait a minute, I don't sing. I want you to experience sensations that you can't describe. I don't need Grey's Anatomy to explore your body, because as you know, I can do that blindfold. You are my canvas. The broad strokes of my body warm you with colors more vibrant than you have ever known. You are my masterpiece. Silly me. I thought you were the one, but you fucked up. You thought I was like those other dudes. I tried to tell you, but now you know. Those other dudes were never in my class. They were insecure. I'm not. They tolerated your bullshit. I didn't. They allow you to walk over them. I wouldn't. I learned that you keep those other dudes around because of your need to be in control and their inability to recognize their value. Perhaps one day you'll finally comprehend that I was different, as you say, special. I must give you credit, though your game was tight. I admire how you use your crossover to deflect and not accept responsibility for your actions. You made me feel it was about us, but that was never the case. It was always about you. I see what you did. It took a minute, but I figured it out. I was vulnerable, too nice, so romantic, and a dreamer. You took advantage of that. I can't blame you, though. Leopard can't change the spots. You are who you are. Please understand that I ain't mad at you. I'm actually quite glad, because now I'm free to be me. I always told you that you would never again meet a man like me. A man that would make you feel the way every woman desires to feel, never asking for anything in return. I realized the red flags were always there, but I ignored them because, to be honest, I love the way your arousal dripped off your lips. Do you still have that towel? You remember how you would call me in the middle of the night asking me to come over and do you right? Begging me to stay, crying when I left? I told you from the jump my name would be hard to forget. I remember the way you took those rides, forward, reverse, and legs to the side. Such a good cowgirl you are. And we could have gone far. For the record, your shit was good, but your personality wasn't. There ain't enough smiles, deep throws, back shots to keep me around your arrogance. I wonder though, does he make you feel the same? Do you scream out his name? Does he turn you over the way you like? Does he hold your hand when your body's about to take flight? None of that is really my business. I suspect that you have the answers to those questions. You thought I was playing, didn't take me serious. You underestimated the man I am. You thought my goodbye meant talk to you later. Silly you. Thank you for teaching me a well-needed lesson, because you see, I was good for you, but you were never good for me. There's nothing left to do. We are through. As for me, all of this is reserved for the next one. And that is that piece.
Man. What was that piece named again?
This one was, I just call it The One.
The One. Nice. Very nice. Very nice. Do you have another you would like to share?
Well, you know what? There is one I write because. I'll call this one I write because. All right. I write because sometimes all I can do is write. I write because at times I lose the desire to speak. I write because I have to. I would like to think that I write when I'm happy, but mostly it appears that I write best when I'm sad, and the tears I shed fall gently onto a page to be read. Writing is therapy for me, a gathering of my emotions, an event I host without an invitation. I write as birds that fly across the sky. Writing comes natural to me. I don't sing, I can't dance, I'm not an artist. I wish I knew how to play an instrument, so I just write. Sometimes I rant, sometimes I string words together like lyrics to a song. Sometimes my writing is reflective, provocative, or erotic. Sometimes one word says it all. I write to express, not to impress. I write so I can empty onto a page the thoughts that swirl around in my head, thoughts that are unclear until I read what I wrote. I write as fish need to swim. I write because words sound better coming from my hands than from my mouth. Wait, did I write that, or did I just say it? I write so that I can heal. I don't write so I can hear the, oh, you write so well, cold language that I wasn't supposed to decipher. Writing reaffirms my existence. The words I speak get lost, but the words I write endure for a little while. I know that sometimes when I write, it has been written before, but it has never been written by me. One word, one sentence, one paragraph, one poem written by me may save a life. So I better write. My experiences don't validate my writing. My writing validates my experiences. I write to escape and enter a dimension of being where I no longer have to explain myself. I write to create mystery and intrigue. I become an enigma to myself. Writing is a melody that I create, a rhythm I control, a syncopation of expression. I hear letters that form words that then become sentences with meaning. I write because I hurt. I write because of the loneliness. Writing is my one true companion. The pen and paper will always listen, never judging or condemning. I write about my fears, my anger, my insecurities. I write about being human. Writing is a gift that I cherish, a gift that fits perfectly, a gift with no return receipt required. And like an ancient tapestry, the fabric of my writing is woven together with an unchained imagination. I write to read the story of my life as it is meant to be written. I write the truest sentence I know, and I call it life. I write like time is running out because time is running out. Today could be my final chapter. I write because my heart compels me to. I write because I must. And that is that piece.
Awesome. Yes, we must get it out. And writing seems to be, yeah. I've learned that that is the best outlet. Because even when you're angry with it, you can ball it up and throw it away, and you can start all over.
Thank you.
Thank you again for joining, and always doing well. You always have some very insightful and motivating words, and I do appreciate that. You perform every night, don't you?
I appreciate that.
Like you're on IG like every night.
So yes and no. Yeah. I peak every now and then. I was on somebody else's. Last night I was in Colorado of all places.
Wow.
So I tried to take a break. Actually, this week I slowed down because one of the things that you do a lot of coaching on sports, and I'll just put this out there. One of the things that we have to do as artists and writers, sometimes you just need to take a break. Just like when you physically are working out, there are days when you just need to stop working out and let your body recover. Mm-hmm. I feel the same about writing. Sometimes I just need to spaz out, maybe watch some TV, go running, do something else other than writing. And I would just take a time to do that. And that was this week. I really didn't write as much or participate as much. My sleep cycle was changed a little bit, so I did spend some late hours doing some content updates. But I do believe the same way that our physical body wears down and we need to just let it recover is the same with writing. But yeah, I'm on IG and kind of doing things.
You and D Nice are on the same schedule, it seems like.
Yeah. But I will tell you, last night took me to a deep, because it was 2 hours behind us on the East Coast, so it went a little further than I thought it was going to go. But I appreciate the opportunity, though.
Always. Again, this is a journey, and everyone seems to just have such a plethora of testimony and emotion. Sorry. That it's just a great experience to realize and understand that that you're not the only one going through things, and it definitely gives me ideas on how to write, and using emphasis and tone and things of that nature. I tend to talk very loud, so I've definitely been working on my speech, and I definitely need to learn how to and practice how to speak publicly per se.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons why IG, this particular time, this quarantine time, has been beneficial for someone like me, because I truly believe that if it had not been for this, I would not have had the opportunity to practice this craft.
Absolutely.
And then IG and Facebook and Zoom give us the opportunity to be in a safe space, be comfortable, practice, hear what others have to say, and kind of get your own rhythm and your own voice. So,
absolutely.
It's a silver lining.
Absolutely. So again, thank you for chiming in and blessing the mic for us once again.
You're welcome.
Until next time.
Pleasure.
If anyone else, thank you. If anyone else is in the room, which I don't see, then anyone else has logged in for the open mic, we're going to close it out. And we're going to close it out with me again reiterating the fact that Serenade Your Soul is for everyone. Musicians, spoken word, if you dance, if you have an art of expression, well, then we welcome you to come and practice, to get advice on whatever you may need, because there's our network is growing, and I'm learning from every person that I see. I'm encouraged every time I hear someone speak, and it just encourages me to continue writing and that I'm on the right track. You can find us at Serenade Your Soul here on Facebook. You can find us at Serenade You Are Soul on IG. And you can always visit us and rewatch this live stream on www.serenadeyoursoul.com. When we're in the brick and mortar, we end our show with another poem that I wrote when I was trying to figure whether I was going to do this type of event or another event. And at the end of the day, it just fits perfectly. So it's called She Listens. She Listens is a service offered for your need to speak, where your words will fall upon ears ready to receive, hear, and attend to your voice. When you've preached, cried, and contemplated how to, and lived as an influence to assist in the growth and maturity of others, where does your refill lie? When do you release your frustration, your fears, and the need to be unapologetically transparent? She listens with an open ear, a desperate ear, not only to fulfill your purpose of today's arrival, but to offer herself in this journey of humanity where we all require a release of the mind, heart, and soul. Do not simmer, do not cry alone, for she listens, with no opinion and no judgment, that we may all find comfort and healing in the letting go and in moving forward in life. She listens. Again, please continue to follow and support Serenade Your Soul.
I got to get off this now. We're not doing this all night.
You guys have a good evening. Thank you.